Representative Greg Stanton came out and said President Biden should leave the race. He is the second Arizona congressman to do so. Stanton put out this statement on social media saying he was one of Biden's earliest supporters in 2020. He called him one of the country's most effective chief executives, but he went on to say, for the sake of American democracy and to continue to make progress on our shared...
Folks, it has officially been 2 weeks since the presidential debate, and the news has not gotten any better for Joe Biden. We're going to discuss the ongoing coup in the Democrat Party right now, but I just really want to quickly note this because it came across my desk just hours ago. Biden was speaking at NATO, and he accidentally introduced President Zelensky of Ukraine as President Putin. Yes, you cannot make this up. The worst possible gaffe you could probably make at a NATO event. Take a listen.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
I know we get pretty used to this from Biden, but that is just mind-boggling on so many levels, because it would be one thing to forget Zelensky's name. It's another to mistake him directly with Putin, the very guy he is fighting in the war. On top of that, this is not just a random offhand comment. He said this at NATO on the world stage. Bad enough look already when he was introducing Zelensky to the stage to come up and speak. Like, I don't even know how that is possible, especially considering you can see he's reading off a teleprompter. So there are so many levels here, but obviously we can see, no, Joe Biden is not cognitively well. And apparently not only does he forget Zelensky's name when he's introducing Zelensky on stage, but the guy can't read a freaking teleprompter. So again, yeah, the news has not gotten better for Biden. But okay, today, like I said, we are mainly here to discuss the coup against him because we have some breaking bombshell new developments. So if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe if you are new. But all right, let's just get into this. Couple headlines that came to mind today. So first of all, NBC News reports that Biden officials directly involved in his re-election bid say his chances of winning are quote unquote zero, adding that he quote needs to drop out. That's what NBC is reporting. According to the New York Times, the Biden campaign is now testing Kamala Harris's viability versus Trump. And that's not super surprising to me. I think it's been very obvious that was happening this entire time. Even if they don't decide to ultimately replace Biden, hey, you might as well throw out Kamala there subtly to just see if she lands, which, by the way, I don't think she will. She is arguably more unelectable than Biden, but I certainly think that her chances against Trump are not very good either. And then last headline we have from the New York Times says Biden advisors discuss whether or not to convince him to try to step aside. So those are the major headlines we are getting from mainstream media today. Now look, I see all of these things, especially this first headline right here, right? Biden officials are directly involved, saying his chances of winning are zero. And one of two things has to be true there. Either firstly, NBC and the media are just making these things up, which is possible. I'm not saying the media always tells the truth, but then I would also question, why is the media just out here running blatantly fake stories about Biden? What's their motive? Why exactly? Whatever that says. But let's assume for a second that this is true, because usually how these stories work in the world of the news media is that this is probably real and a Biden official is texting a journalist that they know in their phone number or something and saying, hey, look, this is what I'm told, or this is what I think, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of can disseminate stories anonymously to the press that way. So let's assume for a moment that is true. You have Biden officials here secretly texting journalists, basically telling them what they think. And by the way, also most likely giving the journalist the permission to publish this, right? Probably just saying, hey, it's okay to publish this, just leave my name out of it, and this is essentially what is happening. What does that say if that is true, that the Biden officials are directly going to the media, leaking things like this, saying things like this? Well, it once again confirms that there is a coup in the Democrat Party against Joe Biden going on. But we already knew that. We knew that there were Democrat politicians openly saying it. We assumed there were many more privately saying it. But this also implies that within the Biden campaign and White House itself, because this is where the source is allegedly coming from, that is going on as well. Because again, keep this in mind. If you were working for the Biden campaign, what motive would you have to be leaking this to the press unless you were trying to in some way undermine or sabotage Joe Biden? That is my assumption here, is that there are probably a lot of people on Biden's team who secretly, for understandable reasons, want him to step out of the race. And so they're trying to go to the press to have the press print these things in order to put public pressure on Joe Biden that maybe might convince him to change his mind. Sure, there could be other motives, maybe something else is going on, but I truly think that is the most likely outcome. And that again implies what? That even in Biden's own campaign, forget Nancy Pelosi, forget Chuck Schumer, forget Barack Obama, we already covered these things. But yes, the coup against him extends so far as the very Benedict Arnolds that are operating within his own White House and his own campaign. So that is some pretty big news. Of course, I don't want to underlook the other headlines. I mean, yeah, obviously they're testing out Kamala Harris. Yes, according to New York Times, perhaps these stories are connected here. If Biden's advisors are discussing trying to convince him to step aside, that is probably in line with the fact that they are the same people leaking these things to the media, saying he has zero chance of winning, adding that he needs to drop out. Because again, let's reiterate, these are not random Democrat pundits. These are not news anchors. These are not random politicians. That is people within Biden's own re-election campaign saying he does not have any chance of winning. Also, in the public news, we have two more public defections today against Joe Biden as a candidate from Democrat congressman. Apparently, Arizona Democrat Congressman Greg Stanton has called on Biden to step aside as a Democrat nominee, and he is joined by Hawaii Democrat Ed Case. So if I'm doing the math correctly, I believe that now tallies up to 10 Democrat congressmen saying that Joe Biden needs to step aside. And obviously, if there's 10 doing it publicly, I'm sure some are just doing it because they're in swing districts and they want a distance from Biden. But also, you'd have to assume to some degree, maybe these people are the cannon fodder, right? If you have this many Democrat politicians who are saying it publicly, you'd have to imagine the amount of people who privately think that is probably way more. And as we covered again yesterday, that allegedly includes Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer themselves. So I guess the only question now, as we pose at the end of every video on this topic, is what's ultimately going to happen, okay? I think the great conclusion either way, whether they replace Biden in the end or they don't, which again seems to be the most likely outcome at the moment, is that Biden is just going to be the Democrat nominee because there's nothing they can do currently to get him out of the way, excluding extreme measures. Then you are ultimately going to have a campaign, a party that is insanely divided, right? And you see that right now. The knives are out against each other. You have people on your own re-election campaign leaking negative things to the press because even they want you to drop out. Hey, ultimately, whatever happens, I think that is good news for Trump because these people are a mess. You know, for a long time, we have had this image where the Democrats, the establishment, whatever you want to say, they are this united opposition and everything they do is a psyop and there's no beating them. There's no beating the game. But hopefully, maybe this is some grounds for optimism because perhaps maybe these people are not as competent as we think, because when I look at the Democrat Party right now, I don't see the usual united opposition force that is normally standing against us. I see a party that is divided, that is dysfunctional. So with that said, let's not get complacent. Let's win this election. Let's win it big so that way there are no questions asked. They are certainly handing us the circumstances to do so. And yeah, let's just get it done, folks. So with that said, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. But be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And until next time, God bless and peace.